By 1960, Singapore had cleared nearly every natural forest on the island. A century of colonial extraction and rapid urbanization had consumed almost every living tree. Today, Singapore is ranked the greenest city in Asia. 18 Supertrees stand up to 16 stories tall, generating solar energy and harvesting rainwater. 1.5 million plants from 200 countries grow inside 2 climate-controlled domes the size of football fields. Over 8 million people visit every year, and it all sits on land that was reclaimed from the sea. This is the story of how one city decided it was not too late to build nature from scratch and changed what landscape architecture means forever. Singapore is one of the most densely populated cities on Earth, with only 730 square kilometers of land and over 5 million people. Every square meter is precious. For decades, Singapore's urban development strategy was simple: build upward, build fast, and pave everything that remained. By the 1990s, the government recognized something dangerous. The city had almost no green space left, no connection to nature, no breathing room. The response was radical. Instead of retrofitting green into existing spaces, Singapore decided to create an entirely new landscape from nothing, on land that didn't even exist yet, reclaimed from the sea at Marina Bay. The brief was extraordinary in its ambition: build the most spectacular garden in Asia, make it scientifically significant, make it sustainable, and make it unlike anything the world had ever seen. In 2006, the Singapore government held an international design competition for what would become Gardens by the Bay. The winning team was led by UK landscape architects Grant Associates, headed by Andrew Grant. Their master plan drew its inspiration from an unexpected source: the form of Singapore's national flower, the orchid. The entire 54-hectare Bay South Garden was planned around the shape of an orchid stem and petals, creating pathways and sightlines that followed the flower's natural geometry. But the design's most radical and defining element was something that had never been built before in the history of landscape architecture. Instead of planting trees and waiting decades for them to grow, Grant Associates proposed building them instantly. At 16 stories tall, the Supertree was born. The 18 Supertrees are vertical gardens standing between 25 and 50 meters tall, designed with emphasis on creating a visual impact through the vertical display of tropical flowering climbers, epiphytes, and ferns. Beverly Boy Productions. But they are far more than sculpture. Each Supertree is a functioning ecosystem. Photovoltaic panels on the canopies harvest solar energy. Rainwater collection systems channel water into the garden's irrigation network, and warm air exhaust systems from the climate-controlled conservatories below vent through the trunks. A total of 18 Supertrees provide a vertical habitat for over 200 species of bromeliads, orchids, ferns, and tropical flowering climbers. The inspiration for the Supertree's form came from an unlikely place, the Valley of the Giants in Western Australia, where ancient trees create a cathedral-like canopy over the forest floor. Grant Associates asked, what if we could create that experience instantly in a city that had no ancient trees left? At night, the Supertrees transform completely, their canopies coming alive with synchronized light and sound, shows that turn the garden into something between a forest and a dream. If the Supertrees are the symbol of gardens by the bay, the two climate-controlled conservatories are its scientific heart. The flower dome recreates the cool, dry climate of the Mediterranean and semi-arid regions, housing over 32,000 plants from 6 continents, including ancient olive trees over 1,000 years old. The cloud forest recreates a tropical mountain environment at 1,000 meters above sea level, a cool mist environment that exists nowhere naturally in Singapore. Inside, a 35-meter artificial mountain covered in living plants rises from the floor, surrounded by cascading waterfalls and walkways that bring visitors into the cloud layer itself. The energy consumption for the two biomes does not exceed that of a comparable commercial building in Singapore for a 24-hour cooling period achieved through biomass steam turbines that convert horticultural waste into energy, reducing reliance on the electrical grid by 30%. Since its opening in 2012, the gardens have become an integral part of Singapore's unique skyline and its most visited landmark. Mini Matters, over 8 million people visit every year, more than the entire population of Singapore itself. But the impact went far beyond tourism. Gardens by the Bay fundamentally repositioned Singapore's identity on the world stage, transforming it from a city known for efficiency and finance into a global model of how technology and nature can coexist. Cities from Dubai to Shanghai to Kuala Lumpur began studying the Singapore model, asking the same question: if a city with no land, no natural forest, and no tradition of large-scale landscape design could build this, what was stopping everyone else? Gardens by the Bay teaches us things about landscape architecture that challenge everything we think we know about the relationship between cities and nature. The first lesson is that nature does not have to be inherited. It can be invented. The Supertrees did not grow over centuries. They were engineered, planted, and functional within years. The second lesson is that sustainability and spectacle are not opposites. The most visited garden in Asia is also one of the most energy efficient, proving that environmental responsibility can be breathtaking. And the third lesson is perhaps the most important for the 21st century, that the decision to invest in landscape at an extraordinary scale is not a luxury. It is a survival strategy. Singapore didn't build gardens by the bay because it was wealthy. It built it because it understood that without nature, no city is truly livable. Landscape architecture is more than stone and earth. It is the manifestation of our history, our controversies, and our healing. On this channel, we believe that every iconic landscape, from a solemn memorial to an ancient citadel, holds a secret, a hidden narrative underneath its surface. Our mission is to excavate those truths because we are convinced that real history, with all its complexity, pain, and beauty, is always more interesting and more important than the legend. This channel is for architects, landscape architects, urban planners, design enthusiasts, and anyone who believes the spaces we build define who we are. Thank you for following us. I'm Raisa Molina, and this is Landscape Architecture Legends. See you in the next story.